And the last piece is the request. So our friend, many of us know Glenda Mattinson, who's a trainer in Toronto, and Glenda Mattinson says that observation is the unsung hero in the 4-step process, and I like that. I think once she said that, I thought, yeah, I could believe that too. I have thought for a long time that request is the unsung hero. And the reason is because that's another place where it's vulnerable. Oh, don't you just hate that? I mean, you know, to be in an intimate relationship and be so specific about what you want is so hard.
Wouldn't they just read your mind?
Oh my God. It is just so hard.
Isn't it obvious?
Yes. If you loved me, you would just know this. And it would be so much easier if that were true.
Yeah.
But they don't.
But they don't.
They don't because they're not us. That's why they don't. Not because they're not. They don't because they're not us.
But you did that when we were first married.
Yeah, my first husband knew how to do that.
Oh.
He didn't have to. Exactly. So the request part is like, oh, God. It's embarrassing. I feel embarrassed when I make a request a lot of the time. A lot of the time. And it is so sweet. So I want to tell you one quick story. I have a very dear friend named Jenny, and Jenny and I have been friends for years and years and years, and we have gone through all kinds of stuff. And so Jenny started pulling out of our relationship, and she didn't want to talk about it. So one time, I just sat down and said, Jenny, please. And she had a little bit of NVC experience, not a lot. And I'd been a trainer for a couple of years at that time. So I had some, you know, some. And so I said, I went through the whole thing, you know, Jenny, when you don't return my calls and blah, 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 I just feel so hurt. And I was just, I was so embarrassed to do this. So we had this connection. And then at the end, she said, what would you like from me? And here was the thing that I wanted, that I was so afraid to ask. I would like you to call me once a week and just ask me how I'm doing and just connect. I was so embarrassed to say that out loud. I just want to know that you care about me. And the way I want to know that is that you would call me on your own once a week. So then Jenny did that. She started calling me. And then, you know, what's that? Oh! She's only calling me because she's hearing it as a demand. She doesn't really want to be on the phone with me. And I just felt so mortified. And so I really worked on grace. And I translated it so much. You know what? She did not have to do this.
Yeah.
Yes, I think in this moment she's not loving calling me. Second, she's doing it because she loves me.
Yeah.
Not because I'm forcing her to do it. And so each time she called, I just focused on receiving it with some grace, and I would try to talk, and it was kind of goofy and awkward, and you know how that is. Well, so Jenny and I have come back together as a result of that. I think we would not have. I think the friendship would have been over. And eventually, she really did start to enjoy calling me every week. And it was like, oh, I remember you. We both had that experience. We can talk about it. Oh, I remember you. I remember why we're pals. So now Jenny lives in another state from me. And we have a really tight relationship. I think it was because of that. And I think partly because I was able to receive it with grace. So I work with people, clients, all the time, couples. And somebody will make one of those really hard requests and then just beat the crap out of the other person because they're not doing it, they don't want to do it. Yeah. There's so much pain attached to that. So I want to tell you that example because I want us to start to receive with, and to meet our need for grace at the same time. To just assume, what if that person was doing this just because they loved us and it was awkward and herky-jerky? And what if we just accepted that as saw what happened. So the other thing about requests is I spent so much time not happy in my relationships. So I learned NVC and I still wasn't happy in my relationships and I couldn't figure it out and I was blaming everybody in my life for it. And then somebody, I wish I could remember who because I love to give trainers credit for those aha moments that I've had, but somebody said, I wonder what, look at your requests. So I did, and I started to notice, they're doing exactly what I've asked them to do. Actually, exactly what I asked them to do. And I was still unhappy because I wasn't making requests that would really meet my needs. I was making requests that I was comfortable asking. For instance, I have a really big need for being heard. And so, I felt embarrassed asking, would you tell me what you heard me say? So instead, so that wasn't comfortable, so instead I'd say, what's going on with you? And so they'd start talking about themselves, right? And that would just annoy me to no end, because I wanted to have to focus on me. But I actually asked them to talk about themselves. So even though it's an easier request for me, it's way easier for me to hear, you know, what's going on with you guys. It's way 100 times harder for me to tell you what's up for me. So that's why, to me, the request is the unsung hero. If your needs aren't being met, I would suggest you look at your request. And secondly, notice, are people doing that? And thirdly, is it meeting your needs? If not, what about just tweaking them? Even if you don't know how to tweak them, call a friend and say, okay, I want, you know, this is what I want, connection, and that person isn't willing to do it. The other thing...
Help. I need rescue. You just said 3 things and I was spacing out. Would you mind repeating it? Because that you nailed it. I knew you nailed it, and I was into being happy you nailed it. Me too! What a relief! She told us the truth! Here it is!
I feel scared whenever somebody says that to me because I'm not sure I can pull it out. But so was it about the request part?
Yes.
All right. So
if your needs aren't being met,
if your needs aren't being thank you. If your needs aren't being met, look at the request that you're making. Notice if they're actually doing it. I mean, did they do what you just said? And thirdly, is it meeting your needs?
And if not, tweak your request.
Absolutely. Instead of trying to tweak the other person, which is what I think a lot of us do, we try to tweak the other person. So, the other thing about request is it's just one idea out of a gazillion abundant universe possibilities for meeting the need. Just an endless supply of possibility. So, if I have a partner who's allergic to flowers, I'm probably not going to ask, could you bring me flowers once a week? There's nothing wrong with asking a person to bring you flowers once a week if that's a really big deal for you. But I'm probably not going to do that because they're allergic to flowers, or somebody who has a value about not, you know, clipping flowers or whatever. But I have a need to know that I'm cared for or valued or loved. So I want to try to come up with something that I think truly will help me meet that need, and also consider this lovely person who's in front of me. What about that? What would meet his needs? Like George, I'm probably not going to ask George to go swimming because I know he doesn't like to swim. But I want to connect with George, so here's 2 lovely people. What could we do that would be fun for both of us? So part of the request is not getting hung up on that particular thing. Asking for what we want, and also once there and the person says, oh, you know, I don't like to swim. It's no fun for me to swim. So, from that place, okay, so what's my need? I want to connect. What's your need? I want to clarify with the other person. What's your need? Oh, I want to connect too. I want to have fun with you. I want to spend time together while you're here in the islands. All right. So, how can we do that? And it's kind of a, I actually think of it as kind of a rocking thing. So, okay. I don't want to give up my need, and I don't want George to give up his. In intimate relationships, it can be really challenging. You know, one person could be raring to go, wanting to go out dancing, wanting to be physical, and the other person comes dragging home that night. Doesn't feel so excited about that. So in that moment, how can those 2 people get their needs met when we both want? I'd like rest. I'd like fun and excitement. I want to get physical. I want to be with you. I want to have connection with you. So what could we do? So one of the requests that I've developed that I love, actually, I use it a lot, is I name the needs for both of us in case somebody's forgotten. So I say, okay, you want fun and connection, and I want rest and also connection. Any ideas how we could both get our needs met? What we could do? I used to think I was supposed to have all those answers, and I don't have the answers a lot of the time. Sometimes I'm triggered because I was really hoping we'd go dancing that night. And so I might be kind of triggered around that. So I want to ask the other person, so do you have any ideas? So, let me just check in.